on Mexican Independence Day, we could call this Teddy Atlas here in Las Vegas, Nevada. You heard from the champ himself. Man, we're simply knocking out the competition. Not Rich Ortiz here with the fighter's voice, the only voice that matters. And like Eddie
Lopez, because Josh Taylor is
the 4th division world champion, Mikey Garcia.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz of The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. And I'm like our guest, Derrick Harmon. We're simply knocking out the competition. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about our guest tonight. A lot of people don't know he used to box inside of the ring. My man was 25 wins, 7 losses, 12 knockouts. A lot of people say exactly who this is. This man wears different hats. They see him walking with Bob Arum all the time. They make sure he's equipped and ready to go, and he's also make sure that he's protected. But a long story short, my man's not only a protector, working as an assistant for Top Rank Boxing, also an actor, and to finally get him to commit to the one and only show, The Fighter's Voice, is always a blessing. Enough said. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest, Derrick Harmon. Welcome to The Fighter's Voice.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You know, Derrick, I don't even know where to start, man. I mean, you have many hats, many titles, but it all started in the boxing ring. Talk to us about you boxing. Where did it come from? Because I look at you and you're very athletic. I know you must have played some possibly football or baseball growing up. Tell us about why you chose the sweet science.
I didn't play any sports at all. And if I did, it was very minimum, very little. I grew up in Chicago, and I grew up fighting and not necessarily in the ring. So I was a fighter by nature, naturally.
When you say naturally, was that with fighting elements or fighting the flesh?
I think my fighting stems from just being angry.
Okay.
Maybe I grew up. My mom died at a young age, at 5 years old. I woke up, she was dead, and I went to a foster home. And so just being a young kid at 5, moving with strangers, not realizing you know, life at that particular time, what was going on. Um, and so I kind of grew up kind of like mad, kind of angry. And that there led to a lot of fighting in school, led to a lot of fighting outside of school. And one day I just picked up the gloves, and it was something that became natural to me.
So when you said that, you must have had a mentor or some form of big brother that says, "Hey, let's get you to the ring," or all this fighting, let's try it out and turn it into a positive. When did that come across, and who guided you?
Well, I started a competition or started training when I was about 16. A guy, a buddy of mine named Ewan Jackson, started me boxing and said, "Hey, I heard you like to fight in the streets. Let's take you to the boxing gym and get you into the ring, and let's do it in an amateur at the particular time. Let's do it, get a
Right,
couple amateur fights." And
right.
that's what I did. So I won the Golden Gloves. I won the CYO as an amateur. And then in 93, I turned pro under the guidance of Ernie Terrell as a boxing promoter and under a trainer named by the name of Henry Sims in Chicago.
The Windy City, Chicago. That's also a fight town. You got a lot of fighters out there, and a lot of things, a lot of champions are put together in Chicago. Now, what made you decide from boxing to acting in one of the biggest movies out there, and a respectful actor, Michael Caine? What was he like to work with, and where did that transition come about?
Well, at the particular time, I was training in LA with Joe Goosen. I was number 1 in the WBC. I had won the I was 18-0. Had won the NABF belt, and I was just hanging out in LA and got approached by a scout, and he walked up to me and said, "Hey, what do you do?" I'm like, "I'm a fighter," and he's like, "No, really, that's what I'm looking for." So I thought it was all a bunch of crap. Gave him my information, and he emailed me a contract, and there it was. I was on my first class trip with Virgin Airlines to London to do a movie with Michael Caine and Mark Lando.
I mean, just to get that, what were you thinking when you were on the plane? What were you thinking once that contract hit you? Like, it had to be so real.
Well, you got a lot of things that go through your mind as if you were getting into the ring, kind of nervous, not really knowing what to expect. Um, but it was great. It was a great time. I mean, I miss my calling. I thought I was gonna be the next Denzel Washington,
Right.
but at that particular time, going on a movie set and just sitting around waiting for hours and hours and doing the same old thing over and over again, it's like this is not really for me. So at that particular time, I didn't understand the opportunity that I had. I look back at it more now and like, oh wow, I had a great opportunity. If I'd have kind of like stuck with it, and because afterwards I went to quite a few auditions, and I just wasn't feeling it. And plus, I think I was probably about 30
Yeah.
years of age, and I was still in the midst of my boxing career.
Well, talk to us about the movie. What was it called? What was it rated at? How did it do in the box office? And what did it do for you personally?
Okay, it was called The Shiner. Mark Lando was my manager in the movie. Michael Caine was the promoter, and it was based on a crooked promoter and his son.
Wow,
And
I already got some some names pop up in my head, but keep going.
yeah, so a lot of people don't know who Mark Lando is. Mark Lando played in the movie Baps with Halle Berry, who's the old white guy with the white hair and had these two black girls taking care of him. So that's who Mark Lando is. Probably, I think he
Yeah.
passed away some years ago. And Michael Caine, everybody knows who Michael Caine is. I think he was in Cider House Rules, which was a hit movie. But the movie was good though. It was good. It was based out of UK. It taught me a lot, gave me a great opportunity, and you know, it was cool. It was a good experience for me.
Now we're gonna skip ahead, and then you can fill in the blanks. Now you're working side by side with one
Yeah.
of the biggest, if not the best, arguably promoter in the world, and one of the best promotion companies in the universe. And we're talking about top ranked boxing. We're talking about the Hall of Famer, Bob Arum, aka Uncle Bob. How did you get that offer? How did you continue to withstand the pressure of working in the boxing business and now just make it your own?
Well, first I gotta say thank you to Bob. Uh, Bob is not only my boss, Bob has become a good friend, and I really appreciate him giving me an opportunity uh, to work for the company. And I learned a lot about boxing. Very few fighters give an opportunity to share the ring with the likes of Roy Jones, Darius Michalski, Montel Griffin, uh, Glenn Johnson, David Telesco, um, and then when boxing all over with, you get to sit side by side with Bob Arum, the number one promoter in the world, and I've learned a lot about the business of boxing, and I learned a lot about the changing. It's different. Boxing is different now than it was when I was fighting.
Absolutely.
When I was coming up, you had to fight. You just had to be a good fighter. Now boxing is a lot of entertainment. You have social media now, so I tell young fighters one of the things that you want to be able to do is not only be able to fight, but you have to be able to be um,
Absolutely.
marketable.
Market yourself, promote yourself.
It's not enough today. It's not enough today just to be a good fighter. You got to have a great smile. You got to have a look. You have to be charismatic. You have to be eloquent. You have to talk clear. You have to look good. And so I think today's fighting is a little bit different than when I was in the ring with those guys.
Well, you know what? I mean, you're right now, you just gave a lesson. So those that tune into that small segment right there, I mean, they're getting 1A if they pay attention and grasp it and run with it. A lot of time they don't have that advice. They don't have that advisory. A lot of people, I mean, we know about this business. I just had a guest on earlier, Zoe Lopez, and I told her, I explained to her, Derek, I said, boxing is a very dark business. It doesn't forgive anybody. It hates you. It's backstabbing. It's crooked, but I absolutely love it, Derek, because it gives people hope. It changes their lives. It gives people opportunity, and you make of it exactly what you put into it is what you get out of it. So you have to be a fighter mentally,
Well,
physically, and spiritually to survive in the sweet science.
Absolutely right. And only losers make excuses.
I believe that. I
You
believe
know,
that.
so they say success is intentional, and it is. And if you see champions these days, no matter who they are, it's not by luck, it's not by chance. It's because number one they believed in themselves. Number two, they were committed to the sport. They had discipline. They were consistent, and so that's what it takes to be a champion.
Well, I tell you what, you have to be a fighter and a champion all in one. I mean, you're going side by side with Bob Arum. Tell us about, he's what he says is what he says. He's very direct. And a lot of people misinterpret that for thinking other things about him, but the man doesn't have time. He's going to cut right through it. If we build you up, we build you up. If not, I'm going to stick you in there and see what you're really made of. And he'll let somebody know if he feels uncomfortable with their question, but you better stick around for the answer if you ask the question, because Bob is going to give it to you straight, flat out, whether you like it or not, you're going to accept it. What's the funniest thing that's happened since you've been around Bob? I know you got stories to tell. Share those stories and share those things that have happened that occurred when you were with him.
It was the reporter, not to give a name, and he was like, the reporter said something, and Bob was like, oh, you know how Bob is. He told him to get the f away from him, you know. So yeah, Bob is very direct. Bob is very honest. Um, just being around Bob, I've learned a lot. Not about just boxing, but just about how to be a man, how to, if you say something, to keep your word. And I'm sure when Bob was coming along, it was more of a handshake. They
Yeah.
didn't have contracts like they do today. So when you speak of a guy who's honest and have integrity, you're talking about Bob Arum, because I'm sure a lot of things that were done in the earlier days of boxing was by handshake. So you talking about someone who kept their word? I'm sure Bob did, as he do today.
A lot of people, they don't know exactly what you do. I mean, if you care to explain exactly what you do, tell us what's Fight Week like with Bob Arum.
Well, listen, I facilitate a lot of things. I help bring in Devin Haney. I help facilitate Emiliano Vargas. So I do a lot of different things. I got a kid now from Australia named Jackson Murray that I'm training. He's fighting on the Shakur card on the 16th of November, which
Yes,
is
sir.
next week. So I do a lot of different things. But with Bob is, I'm, helping him out with his appointments. Who he's going to speak with today, and who he's going to speak with at what time and tomorrow, and all those different things. Uh, I told Bob he doesn't need to drive. One of my ways of telling Bob that he doesn't need to drive to work is so that I can pick him up every day when he goes into the office, and take him home, just to spend time with him, just to learn about the business of boxing. I think the good thing about me is I think of it all the time. I look back and I look in the office. Um, Not only am I learning the business of boxing, I'm the only one that's actually been inside the ring.
Absolutely.
And when I say been inside the ring, I'm talking about the likes of Roy Jones Jr. and fought for 2 world titles and was number one in the world and had the NABF belt. So I know fighters. I know how they think. I know how they feel. I know what they go through. And so now, just being on the business side of it, it kind of helped me um, learn and a lot about the business, to be able to tell the up and coming fighters what to expect, you know, and just give it 100% in this business, because boxing has a very short
Yeah.
window, and boxers are no more as if they were a carton of milk in the
Yeah.
refrigerator. They have an
Yeah.
expiration
Exactly.
date, and depending on how they live and how they take care of themselves and what they believe, either shortens your career or extends your career. But at the end of the day, you have an expiration date. And the most important thing to do when you're in this short life here is be able to give it 100%. Because if you don't give it 100%, you won't get it back in return.
I told somebody earlier today about, I guess I said, Derrick has the dream job. He really does. I've seen you in action. I've seen when you
I
had to
don't know
cut
about that.
media off.
Yeah,
Say, hey,
I
you
don't
had
know
to tell
about
them, hey,
putting
hold on,
anyone.
that's it. Mr. Aaron was now leaving. You always directed. You're always professional, all the time. Even when I met you, some of the times I would see you there. You've always been letting me know, okay, Bob's going to come over here for a while. He'll be there. He'll be back shortly, or So I accepted that. A lot of media, they don't. They want to be pushy, and then you stepped up and said, hey, Mr. Aaron's leaving, and you would escort him out. And I knew a lot of that just came natural, being a professional and how you handled yourself and how you conduct yourself. The whole top ranked team seems to have great habits. I'm going to bring up a name and tell me what's the first thing that comes to mind. And then I want to give him, a big shout out and a big congratulations. And I'm talking about the Hall of Famer, Mr. Lee Samuels, and congratulations on his his retirement, and of course the Hall of Fame. When I mention Lee Samuels, what comes to mind?
A guy that's given 40 years of his life to Top Rank. That's a lot of years. And we applaud him. We congratulate him in his retirement. We wish him the best. Brad Jacobs, our COO, send out a great email wishing Lee Samuels the best. And he's been a great, it's been a great run for him.
Yeah.
40 years. That's a long time. I'm only 53 years of age. 40 years of your life you give into boxing. So that's remarkable. I have to take my hat off to Lee and wish him the best in his retirement.
You say that, and I feel real privileged, man. For whatever reason, we would always talk. Derrick, he'll give me a call sometimes, honestly, like 1:30 in the morning, and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And just talk boxing. He'll call me like at 11, and the stories that he tells me. And I remember I had said on the show, I said I got Josh Taylor over Teofimo Lopez. I said I got him. I picked him all week, and at the
Really?
last minute, what was that?
Really?
Yeah, really,
Really?
Nick, really. But at the last minute, at the very last minute, I changed my mind. And I said, I got to record this. I can't go on air. I got to go on record. I called Lee and I said, Lee, I changed my mind. I got Teofimo Lopez over Josh Taylor by knockout. And he goes, oh, okay. He goes, good boy. He goes, yeah, yeah. He goes, we like Taylor. He goes, but Teofimo, it's going to be a good fight, Richard, is what he said. And Teofimo, he
Yeah,
put
I
together a
spent a couple weeks with
Picasso of a painting, a comeback of the year. You can't judge a guy because of two bad outings. He is the face of the 140-pound division, and then you got Regis Prograis. That's my opinion.
Well, then you also have Devin Haney as well.
Well,
So,
you do.
I started Devin Haney off boxing when he was 7 years old. And 2 months later, I stuck him in the ring with a kid that had been to the gym for 2 years. And it was a natural, this kid was just had natural ability. His dad came back. I said, your kid, if you stick with boxing, he'll be a world champion one day. So I knew that right off the back. So you also have Devin Haney at 140. I spent a lot of time with
Yeah.
TFV. I spent 2 weeks with him before he fought Josh Taylor. And I saw the same Teofimo, focused, committed, disciplined, and a kid that believed in himself. And when I saw that, it reminded me of when he fought Richard Comey. Right then and there, I said, okay, he's going to beat Josh Taylor. He's going to beat Josh. And I think Josh was shocked. And Josh was a nice guy. I like Josh. Spent some time with him as well. But I
Big
just
140
looking at
pounder, too.
Teofimo train those couple. Yeah, yeah. And just looking at Teofimo train for those 2 weeks, like, okay, yeah, he should win this fight here.
I'm going
Yeah.
to tell you something, Derrick, and you can go by archives don't lie, dates don't lie. I had Teofimo Sr. On the show. He prophesied the whole thing from start to finish. He said, my son's going to come out and do this. He's going to shock the world. He's going to give him a boxing lesson. He's going to stay disciplined. You're going to see the old Teofimo. You're going to see him having fun. You're going to see him, his antics. You're going to see him clowning in there. And you saw everything. Every single thing came to life. When Teofimo started doing the backhand and dancing and moving, he was on cloud nine. He was not going to be defeated that night. That was the same Teofimo that showed up and shocked the world against Lomachenko. Like I said, Derrick, prior to that, I had picked the bigger man. I went through the resumes and I had to pick Josh Taylor. But at the last minute, my story with Lee Samuels, is I couldn't record it. I couldn't go on record and do it. I go, you know what? I'm gonna let Lee know. So it's recorded, it's on record that I did change my pick. You know, you put on Twitter, you put on this. A lot of times they don't know if you really did it or not. But I agree with you. Femo's in a high place right now. He's in a better place right now. He's rested. He's ready to go. He has youth on his side, and he's adapted to the 140-pound division. He's always been a big kid,
Yeah,
even when he was at 135s.
yeah. TFV was a good kid. I like TFimo. He's a good kid. A lot of people don't understand him, but he's a great kid. You know, he's a real good kid.
Well,
Yeah, he's a
I
great
post a lot
champion.
of his antics, him dancing, him doing things. I even do more
Hmm.
purposely because from my area where I'm at, Fresno, California, you got a lot of non-supporters of Teofimo. And I've had people block me. I've had people stop following me because we have a certain champion in our area, which I truly respect with all my heart, is a personal friend of mine. But the media business it's worldwide. It's just not in one small area. You know, I love the Maloney brothers, and I get an inside message. I go, "Well, I got 9 guys in my gym that'll beat him." And I'm like, "Can you? He just barely won the belt. Can you be happy for the man?" And I tell people that all the time. Now, being the full package is the full package. Diafimo is a promoter's dream. He really is. He promotes himself. A lot of people can say this and that about his dad, but what are you doing? You're listening to him. It brings news. It puts him on the platform, puts him on the center stage. And what does he do? He delivers on the biggest opportunities that he has been given.
Listen, TFM was the perfect example of it. It shows you this, you know, and this is not to discredit his father, but Teofimo fights in a non-traditional way. You see him train, the way he throws punches, the way he throws his jab, the way he throws his hooks. If you take the old trainers, Eddie Futch, Dale Torrance, Kenny Adams, Hall of Famer trainer, and those trainers of old days, if they looked at Teofimo, they would be trying to correct everything that he would do. But Teofimo is a perfect example that it tells you this in boxing. If you really believe in yourself and you believe in what you're doing, then the sky's the
Absolutely.
limit.
Absolutely.
And I really thought of that the other day when I was watching Teofimo train, and I'm like, he does nothing in a way that I was taught how to throw a jab, how to throw a hook. I'm like, but in my eyes, it's incorrect. But in his eyes, he's doing the right thing. And because he believes in himself, it works. And today he's world champion because of it.
They asked the late great, which was also a friend of mine, the late great Emmanuel Stewart. He said, "Man, Emmanuel, are you going to
Yes.
change anything when he was working on Seam Hamed? He's all balanced. He's this." He goes, "I'm going to enhance exactly what he has." He goes, "I'm not changing a damn thing." He goes, "It's working for him.
Absolutely
I'm
right.
going to go there and enhance it, give it the green light, put more juices to it, put more tools in the toolbox. I'm not going to change it at all." They go, "Well, he's all balanced and I'm not changing nothing." And that's what he said.
And that's a sign of a good trainer. I think guys like him become are better trainers than guys that were fighters. Guys that were fighters have a tendency to train a guy and teach him the way they fought. And I think that's the worst thing to do. You take a kid and you try to enhance his skills. You don't
Exactly.
change him because that's who he is. You enhance it. You don't change it. And I think that's the problem with a lot of trainers today that were former fighters. They try to teach a kid or teach someone the way they fought. And to me that's not it's not really smart. You take a kid and you enhance what he has. If it works, let it work, enhance it. That's it. And get him in shape and get his mind right. That's the most important thing to me is to get his mind
Absolutely.
right.
If you got a pitcher and he's not coming over the top using his shoulder and he's not torquing his body and pushing off what they call the mound, the rubber, he's throwing sidearms, but he's gassing it at 95, 97, 105. I'm not changing a damn thing. I'm going to enhance it, make
Absolutely
him
right.
confident, and tell him when he's on there, he's the boss.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. There's no
No,
use to changing
no,
anybody.
no.
Enhance what they have.
Let's go back and talk about Devin Haney. I use the comparison a lot of times with these young fighters, and they didn't even know who the reference was. He reminds me of a young Terry Norris. Just that jab, boxer puncher, beautiful boxer. And when Terry gets hit, he'll mix it up in there.
Who we who are we
Devin
talking
Haney
about?
reminds me of a young Terry Norris.
And what punch is
And what
that?
was that?
What punch you say reminds him of?
No,
Which
just his
punch they
jab and the way
throwing?
he moves, his footwork.
All right. Well, when you speak to Devin Haney, ask him who taught him how to jab. That was the very first thing I taught him. It's the
Absolutely.
jab. The very first punch. I think of the jab like this. Listen, you can have a lazy right hand, you can have a terrible hook, but if your jab is on point, it enhances all those other punches because it does everything for you and stops everything that he wants to do. So yes, I taught Devin. I can personally sit up and say today that I taught Devin Haney. That's the first punch I taught him was the jab, and
Oh,
he
he
throws
has
a
a
beautiful
beautiful jab.
jab.
Beautiful jab. I wish he would use it more as a weapon, like the way Tommy Hearns used the jab to set up the stick. You know, one of the best jabs ever who gets
Mhm.
overlooked. Ike Corte had a beautiful jab. Oh,
Larry
enough
Holmes.
said. When you think of jab, you think of Larry Holmes. Plain and simple, period. He would knock people out and back in
Absolutely
with the
right.
jab.
Yep.
Oh,
Use it
I
like a
mean, just
whip.
bar none. I mean, Ali would flick it with his glove, but Larry was precise. Larry was precise. Lennox had a jab. I liked it, but Larry's just came out smooth, effortless. It came out
Yeah, Larry came out.
effortless.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Absolutely right. Yep. His jab was
Oh
beautiful.
man,
Larry's
it's
was. Yeah.
probably arguably the best in history. If anybody, there's other fighters that have good jabs for that night, or that night the jab was effective.
Yep.
Larry Holmes, that was in his toolbox. Period. The jab. Period. Even when he was hurt, it was the jab.
Mm-hmm.
Ernie Shavers rocked him. What did Larry do? Come back with the jab. And we're talking about some wars. Tim Witherspoon put him on the canvas. What did he do? Got back up, laid up on the jab. It would just come out of great
Absolutely
muscle
right.
memory.
Absolutely right. That's the thing I'm trying to teach the kid from Australia because he's only been here with 4 or 5 weeks with me. I'm not trying to cram a bunch of things into him. One thing I'm trying to do is have him to believe in his jab. He's a lefty. Have him believe in
Oh,
your
yeah.
go behind your jab. That's that's the most important thing. Yes, absolutely right.
Let's talk about
Yep.
the matchup with Devin Haney and Regis Prograis. What do you think about the matchup itself? What do you think the outcome is going to be? And what does Devin Haney need to do to be successful against a boxer puncher?
Um. First of all, I think Devin's going to win. Of course. He's young. You know. He's just. I saw him in the gym. So one thing I know he's done. He's gotten to the gym early. He's been training for a while now. So that I do know he's in good shape. He looks good right now. Um. I don't think Regis has um what it takes to beat Devin Haney. I just don't. I just don't. I just don't see it. I don't see his punching power making a tremendous difference uh, because of Devin Haney's boxing ability, his
Mhm.
IQ, his ring gentlemanship, and so I don't really see unless Devin just falls asleep and Regis just catching him. He's not going to outbox him, so his the opportunity to win only relies on a punch. And I think you're going to sit around and wait on that, and it's never going to come. So I can just see Devin outscoring him, just beating him, giving him a boxing lesson. That's what I see.
I'm going to tell you this, Derek, and not because you said this, and my producer knows my relationship with Regis Prograis, knows highly, I think, of him. That's a bad matchup for Regis Prograis. You got to be able to cut the ring off, not just cut the ring off, but be effective. I don't like the fact he naturally has a longer neck. I don't like the fact that his head is so high to be catching the jab.
Hmm.
I can see that boxing lessons come by. The only thing, if Devin Haney chooses to trade punches there, then he puts himself at bay, then he puts himself at warning, then he puts himself in a position to get possibly hit harder than he's ever been hit before. But if he listens to his dad in the game plan is they're not even touching the ropes. Trust me, it's around the ring. They're going to use the ring, give him a boxing lesson, move around, tie up, give him angles, use his speed, possibly the uppercut. If that jab's affected, wait for the stick to come. I like Regis. I like his power.
Yeah.
I don't think his balance is the greatest. He generates his power from his legs, his calves. He is champion of the world. He'll box anybody and fight anybody. That's not what we're asking. Somewhere down the line, it has to be skill. He's not giving away his game plan. He said
Yes.
on the last interview, I'm not going to go try to hurt him. I'm going to use my skill. That is BS. We all know that. He's not going to say, I'm coming. No, he's coming to
Right.
catch Devin Haney because you can't match skill set for skill set.
Right.
Some people are athletic. Some people are good athletes. So, you pick and choose.
I never understood why Devin Haney took that fight, but now speaking with Bill, listen, his last 3 fights have been with southpaws, lefties, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He just fought one of the baddest southpaws on the planet, Lomachenko.
Exactly. As far as footwork,
All
yeah.
right. So listen, if he beat Lomachenko, he shouldn't have any problems with Prograis.
That's going to be a good fight. That's going to be a good fight. I
But
just
it's
put
gonna be
in
a
for
good
the fight.
entertainment fight, though.
What's that?
It's gonna be a good entertainment
I'm sorry,
fight.
Derek. What
It
was
should
that?
be
You
good,
came
good,
in kind of
good
mixed up a little
action.
bit.
It should be good action in this fight here.
Oh, absolutely.
Can
I
you hear me?
actually just put in. I actually
Yeah.
just put in for that. So I'm hoping I'm able to get in somehow. Only because half the media is going to be in Vegas. I think Floyd Mayweather has that same date, but he hasn't really announced anything for the same date, so it's probably not going to happen.
Right.
But no, I plan
Yeah,
on going
I
up
don't know
there,
anything
man.
about the Floyd's fight.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know
you
anything
know,
about the Floyd's fight.
yeah, no, I don't either. It would have been, announced already, but hopefully I'll see you up there. That'll be the plan.
I well, December 9th,
Yeah.
we have our own
Oh,
show.
okay, okay,
We have our own. Yes, in
okay.
Florida.
Well, enough said then. Then
Yeah,
see, Derek, you got
I'll
to
be
help
more
me
like
get
it.
there, and I'll be going like this, Derek. This is what's going on right now, man.
Can you
Oh
still
no,
see
now
me?
you went out. I must have scared you with that. See, what I think I know you can hear me.
I
I
got,
think what he really meant to do was black it out like they did on The Sopranos. Go to his room and put
okay.
on the official shirt of the fighter's voice, the one that I gave him. I think that's what he meant to do.
I'm here. I'm
But
back.
but that top rank shirt looks good on you, man. It really does.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
I love my
But
job.
yeah, but in your drawer you have that shirt. So one of these days, put it on when you go to the gym with the fighter's voice, man, and rock that and say, Rich, send me a pic and say, Rich, I'm rocking
Well,
with you, man.
I just yeah. I'm sorry. I just come from the gym, and that's why I had this on. So yeah, I meant to put on my fighter's voice T-shirt.
It's all good. It's all good.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir.
By
And
the
I got to
way,
get you a hoodie
thank you for the
too.
T-shirt. By the way.
Oh, absolutely,
Yes, I
man.
would love the hoodie.
Absolutely. That's what
Yes.
we do, man. Iron sharpens iron. Listen, man, we're talking about the Devin Haney fight. Top Rank has their own event that day. Uh, I hope to be there. I hope to be there covering it. I feel like I have to be there. I need to be there. So, I'm going to use all the powers that be, all my connects, whatever I can to be there. It's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a good fight for boxing. And, Top Rank, they're going to put on another good show. I mean, I enjoy Top Rank's
That's what
shows all the time.
that's what we do.
We lost you again.
As you can see,
There we go.
I have a bad connection in my place. I don't know why. I got the worst reception here.
Oh, it's okay, Derek, man. First of all, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. I've been trying we've been trying to line this up for a while now, and you've been busy. I've had other guests as well, but as they say, the show must go on. And hey,
Absolutely
man, I
right.
would
I
love to
appreciate
even
you
to
having
get
me on
10 minutes.
here.
No, it's my pleasure. You got some upcoming fighters. Let's bring them on the show. Even the big
Well,
boys, we
you
can
let
bring
me.
them on.
We got to get TFV on your show. He's a character. I think it brings some excitement.
I would love to have him on the show. That'd be an honor. That'd be, a
Yes.
privilege for me to have him on the
Yep.
show.
Yep.
Let him speak his mind, and
Yep. Yep.
yeah, we'll make that happen.
Yep. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, Derrick, I lost you again. I lost your screen. But it's
Yeah, I don't know why I'm here. I think it's just a bad connection.
okay. No, we're gonna rock and roll from there, and I'll just tell my producer during this time we're gonna rock a picture. It'll be a picture of you, but your vocals are still gonna come in. So, let me ask you this before we call it an evening. What's it like living in? You live in Vegas, correct?
Yes, I live in Las Vegas.
So I never got to ask you what's the toughest part for you during fight week? The toughest part, and what's the funnest part?
Well, listen, I think the biggest fight that any fighter has is here. And I say that because it's really true. The biggest fight that you ever have is in your head. The thoughts, what ifs, and all these different things that go through your mind. And if you can conquer those thoughts and control those thoughts and put in what you should do and who you are and what you're trying to accomplish, then you'll be okay. The man in the ring is not the problem. It's the man that's in the voices that are in your head, the thoughts that come to your head. That's the fight right there. That's what a fight is. The fight is right here. It's not in the ring. And so if you, uh, uh, you know, get it here, it's going to the fight and what you're supposed to do is going to come out in your hands and your feet. That's the fight. The fight is here. It's not in the ring. The person that you're fighting has two hands and two feet just like you do. And so it's the winner is the person that believes in himself. You've seen fighters that had no skills. You've seen fighters who didn't have any power. You've seen fighters who were slow. You saw fighters that were tall. You saw fighters that were short. They all have become world champion. Why? Because they got this right.
Yep, exactly.
That's where the fight is at.
Exactly.
Success is here. It has nothing to do with your height, your color, your weight, where you're from. It's in your mind. You are what you think you are.
Exactly. And that's why I got to ask you about this question right here. You were there with Tyson Fury. You watched the Tyson Fury fight.
Absolutely right.
You watched Francis, and the confidence that he had coming in is just he didn't fold, he didn't melt. Was it? Let me ask you this: was it that people were caught up in that he was so polished, or was it caught up in that they think Tyson Fury was awarded the fight? Well, you were there. I watched it on TV, but you were there. What did you think about the outcome, and what does it do for boxing?
The fight with Francis?
Well, yeah, my MMA guy, yeah, Francis and Tyson Fury.
Yeah,
What
well,
did you think about
listen,
the fight itself?
my kid boxed with Francis Ngannou, so I knew he could punch, and I think personally I give a lot of
Yeah,
credit to Francis. I think Dewey's a great trainer, and I think Francis was going in to do the impossible, and I don't know what was wrong with Tyson. I can't really say. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know.
yeah.
I
Well,
just know
hey,
that hey, it was a hell of a fight.
it was. It
Oh
was a
gosh,
good fight.
I lost you again.
Oh,
I
it's
gotta
okay,
move
man.
around and see if I can get reconnected.
Okay, we'll get
I
reconnected.
gotta move around and see if I.
We'll get reconnected, and then we'll wind down. That way, for the next time, it'll look good because I don't want you looking blurry when we have you on there. You got to look good, man.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely, Derrick. Derrick, well, let me ask you this. I wish you were on screen right now, but I'm gonna ask you this. What do you think about the Fighter's Voice podcast, my man? What do you think?
I
Yeah,
There you go. I love it, and I wish you much success. And hopefully, uh, we get some of the guys, on there that you want. You know, but yeah, it's good. It's good for young fighters to come here and voice their opinions and to be seen, to be heard, because I think it's a part of the publicity. I think it's a part of uh, people getting an opportunity to hear fighters and see their faces, just besides watching them fight.
absolutely.
So it's good. It's a good opportunity for them.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from the man himself. Derrick Harmon. Look him up, follow him, support him. So those of you who want to follow you, how do they stay in contact with you? What's your IG? What's your Instagram? What's your Twitter? What's your handle?
My IG is Derrick Harmon Coaching. That's my Instagram.
Okay.
And I don't do coaching as far as like, going to the gyms and coaching guys. I like to sit down and to enhance the fighter's thinking, his belief within himself.
That's right.
Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
Exactly.
Teaching him, teaching him how to think, how to prepare himself mentally for the fight. I think that's my greatest asset to a fighter. It's not, we all get up and run, we all get up and go to the gym, we all jump rope, we all hit the speed bag, we all hit the heavy bag, we all do 10 rounds. And that's great. But what are you thinking about? What are your thoughts? What are you focusing on? What is your belief system? To me, that's more important than all those other things that I just listed as far as training. Those things are necessary. But the most important thing is, what do you feel? What do you think about yourself? How's your belief system? I think that's where it's at the most.
I agree with you, Derrick. Derrick, listen, my man, I got to have you back on the show. I got to have you on like quarterly. You know what I mean? Because
Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get in contact with you, and when I'm in the gym with Ted Fimo or Devin Haney, I'm gonna sit down, and we're all gonna sit down and chit chat together.
that sounds perfect.
How about that?
Perfect, man. Absolutely. Well, Derrick, I want to thank you for taking the time coming on the show, man. I mean, I'm just a text away, a phone call away. I appreciate you. The platform is yours, Derrick. You've been so informative, and you're a blessing to have on the show, man. A lot of people didn't know exactly what you do and what your background was, and you shared it on the only podcast that asked you is The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Richard Ortiz. I want to thank our guest, Derrick Harmon. Make sure you follow him. Make sure you support him, and you got to follow Top Rank Boxing. If you want the best boxing in town, if you want to see some great matchups and you want to have a knockout night, make sure you subscribe to ESPN Plus and get your subscription with Top Rank Boxing, the one and only promoter, Bob Arum. And as always, it's a wrap here with Derrick Harmon. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz. Thumbs up for Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week. Remember, it's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, the special guests, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.